see, we have blisters. So sanding has begun. Chris has got the sander, I've got the grinder. We've got to get them cleaned out and dried up. Get some epoxy in them and get a skim coat over them and get them sanded down from there. That way they can come over with an epoxy barrier coat and we'll be good to go. Well, that's what it looks like. Still got some more. You can see some of them still are wet. Still a few leaking. Right there, you can see it. A couple bigger ones that really need to be looked at. This was a pretty bad. Right there. Couple up there. There's a lot of them. This still looks all wonderful. He's been sanding. Some spots underneath. Well, this side's not quite as bad. They're very small. A few that are breaking. But like as we get up here, there's not the clusters of them like on the other side. So we'll be back at it. All right, it's day 2 and we're back at the boat yard and we've got all these cleaned up, ready to put a little layer of epoxy inside each one to seal them up. So we'll get some layers of epoxy going. Get that in there. Krista's all ready. This is what we're using, the West system, 105 epoxy resin, 206 slow hardener. And then after we get the epoxy in and that's been cleaned up and washed, because there's a resin that you have to get off of it first, we'll go back over and we'll mix up the 105, 206 and 407 as a filler. They're not very deep, 1 layer at the most, I think maybe 2 on some of them. So we've talked about it and we've read everything about the West systems, and this is what they suggest. So we're going to get on with it. All right, it's been about, I don't know, an hour or so, and we've done the second coat. Now this is just the second coat of the epoxy coating. We'll still have to do the filler, which is a combination of the epoxy and an additive to it. Did rebed the trim tabs and the drain, which I'm kind of surprised to see this thing has a drain on the back. But that's where we're at, so we're going to wait about an hour, let that pack up and do the third coat. Whew, end of day 2. We got 3 coats on. We've got to let them dry though. That final coat needs to dry up really good, because then we need to sand off the surface here where some of the little runs are, smooth it out, and then we'll go in and we'll clean these out with some soap and water, or some water and a Scotch-Brite pad, because there'll be a little film buildup from the reaction of the epoxy. We also rebedded the through hole sensors. I don't know if you can see it or not. one there. And one right there. We bedded those at one point. I noticed that there was a small drip coming through on this one. So we went ahead and rebedded that. Checked all the through holes. Everything's good. They're all brass. All looks good there. All right, end of day 2. We'll see you tomorrow for day 3. All right, hello everybody. It's day 3 of sanding blisters. I didn't show us sanding all the blisters down the side because it's kind of boring and nobody wants to watch someone sand blisters for an hour. But this is what we've gotten. So far we've sanded out all the epoxy that we put in yesterday. We didn't sand it all out. I rephrase that. We sanded off the edges here where it had ran or it was over the edges to smooth it out. So now we're going to start the process where we use the epoxy, the hardener, and the filler. We're going to mix those 3 together and we're going to start filling up some holes.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be here that I put on my shirt backwards this morning. I couldn't wait to get here.
And inside out.
Oh, I didn't mean backwards. I meant inside out.
Yeah, it's inside out, not backwards. Oh well.
Oh well.
Typical Krista.
What are you mixing there, Captain Mike?
I'm mixing some epoxy resin with some hardener and a filler.
What are you doing with this?
This is what we're using to fill the blemishes on the surface.
Oh, those nasty little blisters that I've been...
This is in the sun.
It's not really a hard job, it's just a very tedious job. Wouldn't you agree, Captain Mike?
I would.
It does give you plenty of time to be alone with your thoughts, though.
I don't have many thoughts.
It's like icing a cake.
It is kind of like icing.
And this is a slow hardener, isn't it?
It is.
So it'll take it a while to dry.
And you can make this into any consistency you want. It just depends on your application. This particular application, we want the consistency of peanut butter.
Peanut butter pie.
So it stays.
So it fills the...
Well, we don't want it to sag.
Don't want it to sag. Okay. That really hasn't been too bad. I think we're learning a new skill, so if you have blisters on the bottom of your boat.
No.
Oh, come on. Be some extra cashola.
No.
You don't want to do this for anyone else?
No.
I think it was too bad. The sanding part is horrible. It's like sanding drywall. That's horrible too. So all of you freshwater boat lovers, don't think that you're safe just because you're sitting in fresh water, right, Captain Mike?
That's right. This boat spent most of its life, well, all of its life in warm fresh water.
In Chattanooga, Tennessee. And
Which makes me kind of prone to this.
now, granted, I believe some of them have dried up sitting out. but you don't want to let them go unattended. As we've been told, it's not going to sink your boat, but over time it could do some pretty serious damage. And what area are you working on now, Captain Mike?
Transom.
The transom.
Where our underwater lights will be going.
We have had one of the workers from Pelican's Perch actually doing some sanding today on the bottom. He disappeared though. Don't know where he's
Well,
went off
they
to.
stopped because we're doing this.
Okay. It's kind of what I thought. We don't want to get in our way.
Because we're putting this on and all that sanding.
But we've been very impressed with the gentleman who runs Pelican's Perch, Danny. He's been very kind, very helpful.
Very helpful, very cool.
And if you ask me, the boatyard's very neat. There's our lovely little garage. Little head. Hopefully it'll cool overnight and we'll be able to sand it epoxy tomorrow.
All right, it's end of day 3. We've got all the putty on with the epoxy, and we have to let this dry for 24 hours before we can come back and block sand it. And we'll block sand it, and we'll see if we need to do another skim coat or not. But so far, so good. Doesn't look too bad. Once we block sand it, we decide if it needs another skim coat, we'll put a skim coat on it, and after the skim coat, we'll let that dry again another 24 hours, and then we'll sand it, and then we'll put 3 coats of just the raw epoxy over it, and that'll seal it up nice and good, and then it'll be ready for the bottom paint on the sides. So, talk to you later. Stay tuned for tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching.